everybody? It is Carlos with the Nerd a Day podcast. How are you all doing today? That is right. We are just getting done the PlayStation Showcase 2021. And I was watching some reaction videos and kind of just compiling my thoughts. So we're going to kind of get into a lot of this right here. Pardon me. I'm just going to just show you my logo because I'm awesome like that. And I forgot. But I hope you guys had a good reaction to it. I hope you guys really liked it. So I'm just gonna hop right into it, man. Let's go in. I'm actually posting some reaction videos in a moment. I'm kind of rendering it right now. Just to some of the news we'll talk at the very end. Um, I'm gonna go over some notes. I'm gonna touch on some of the things that were shown off, and then I'm gonna kind of give my four trailers showed up, and I'll kind of go through the blog post for those. But let's start it off, man. The showcase came up with, pardon me, the showcase came up started with Star Wars, um, Knights of the Old Republic, remake made by Aspire Studios. Seems really cool. It's going to be PlayStation console exclusive at launch for a time period. We it was just like just kind of showing Revan, Darth Revan, not too much into like how it plays. It's gonna be updated, things like that. Next, we jumped into Project Eve. This looks awesome. It seems like very like Scarlet Nexus type game. After that, we went to Tiny Tina, like the D&D type like Borderlands game. It was just like a shooter still, but Baby Metal was playing, which is awesome. If you guys like heavy metal and Japanese stuff, check out Baby Metal. They're awesome. I'm gonna skip the next thing because that's kind of part of my last thing. Alan Wake remaster, which I believe predicted in my predictions episode. You can check that on the channel and audio podcast. It didn't seem like it had any gameplay updates, but visually it does look better. That's coming out October 5th. It's the first time on PlayStation, so they showed it off here. That was pretty cool. GTA 5 for PS5 was shown off again. It's coming out March 2022. Ghostwire Tokyo kind of story trailer was showing up. No date. Looks pretty cool. Not sure what this is about, but it looks decent. Guardians of the Galaxy got a long trailer. It looks good still, but I wasn't really happy with it specifically. Um, pardon me. And yeah, jumping up next, we had Blood Hunt. This is why I'm kind of like skimming through a lot of this because we'll touch base before I show like all the cool stuff. So Blood Hunt was shown off. It's a like a multiplayer version of Vampire Masquerade. It was too long of a trailer. It took an ate up time that I thought was unnecessary. Deathloop was shown again. Jesus Christ, it was shown again. Again, trailer should have been like 30 seconds. Was like 2 minutes for some fucking reason. I shouldn't be cursing. Nah, anyway. It was like 2 minutes for some reason. And I mean, this game comes out next week. Apparently, Bloodhunt's already out. Like, it's ridiculous. Then a Radiohead collab game with Epic Games was shown off. I did not catch the name. I wrote Kid Amnesia. That's not right. And then Chichia, I think is the name of the game. It's like this cool open world, like you're on an island and like you're like a girl. You have like it looks like Zelda. It looks pretty cool. And then let's kick it off to some of the first party stuff. So we had Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, both remastered for PS5 and PC. It seems like according to the blog post, these are not like upgrades that you can buy, like a $10 that they mentioned before. This seems like a whole new SKU. So 60 frames per second, I'm assuming as well. Next we have Herman Hulse kind of, talking about first party, things like that. And it was pretty cool. And then we kicked it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the weakest of the things here, which is Gran Turismo. Shut up, Gran Turismo. Looks pretty, all that stuff. But let us change this. We're gonna touch on one thing that's not first party. I'm very excited about, and then we'll touch on first party and the banger of ending that was. So let us go here. All right, so you guys are seeing my screen. It's like this. We're gonna go through some Forspoken. I'm gonna have the trailer looped here as we I have the blog post up as well. You should not be seeing that. Oh, now you're seeing there you go. All right, so let us bring this up. So this is Forspoken. Um and I'm going to be reading from the blog post here. So Journey with Frey to Forspoken's fantastical world next spring. This is from Ryo Mitsuno, creative producer at Luminous Productions, which is the same studio that created Final Fantasy 15. Square Enix and Luminous Productions sets the stage for Frey Holland's journey to New York City, from New York City to Athia. Hey, PlayStation Blog. I'm reading directly from the PlayStation Blog as well. My name is Ryo. I'm a creative producer at Luminous Productions, working on various aspects of the upcoming game Forspoken. Today, I'm happy to introduce you to a brand new trailer that showcases Forspoken's hero, Freya Holland, but played by Ella Bekshar, I believe. I butchered her name. I'm very sorry. If you watched the last Charlie's Angels, she was really good in it. And her background story. It answers many questions like how did she end Athia and what's up with sneakers. You never say what's up to Chucks. Come on, they're classic. So without further ado, here's the new story trailer. It's linked in the blog. Frey is directionless, gritty yet street smart young woman who persevered despite her rough upbringing in New York City. And her life hasn't really gotten any easier. Now that she's about to turn 21, things take a turn unexpected when she's magically transported to Athia, a land where fantasies and nightmares are suddenly very real. Playing as Freya, you'll need to harness and newly discovered magical abilities to battle the terrifying monsters that inhabit the land. To have a chance of returning home, she'll also have to contend with Tantus, destructive yet twisted, all-powerful matriarchs who have dominion over Athia. It's kind of perfectly timed, by the way. As previously announced, phrase performed by Ella Balinska, sorry. So I hope you enjoyed a longer look at her performance in the trailer. I'm excited to reveal more characters from Forspoken and some fantastic actors behind them as well. Jonathan Cake plays Freya's companion, Cuff. Cuff is a magical, sentient bracelet of uncertain origin that helps Freya navigate through the sprawling landscape of Athia. Janita Gavankar plays Tanta Sila, the strong and most formidable Tanta in Athia. While she once protected Athia with her unparalleled prowess and battle, Tanta Sila is now dictatorial despot who is mad with power. Keela Settle plays Jody, a hard-nosed activist who provides Frey with guidance on her journey in Athia. Monica Barbo plays Alda, and this is, I believe, right here, Janina Gavankar's character at the very end that you see there. Monica Barbo plays Alden, a kind and open-minded young woman who prioritizes the needs of others before her own. She's quick to accept Freya and Athia and sees more in her than Freya does in herself. You may also be wondering the music in the trailer. Pretty amazing, correct? I'm happy to announce that the track was composed by Bear McCrea, who you may know of God of War and The Walking Dead. This kind of goes with it. We also have composed music by Gary Scheimer from Shimon. Gary Shimon. If I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry, Gary. Of Bioshock fame. There's some cool pictures here. And finally, I'm excited to announce who is the talented writers behind the game. This was already announced by Gary Whitta of Rogue One, Star Wars Story, and Kind of Funny Games Daily, Whitta Wednesday on a Tuesday. Amy Hending of the Uncharted series, holy shit. Allison Reimer and Todd Stashwick, who originally Todd was supposed to play the villain in Uncharted 2, and I believe, or I'm sorry, he's supposed to play Sam, who should have been the villain, according to rumors, in the original version of Uncharted 4, before Neil and Evan took over. Together, they worked to craft a beautiful story of Freya's journey of self-discovery, and I have no doubt you enjoy. And it says releasing on PS5 in spring 2022. So let us move from that. We're going to kind of get there. And I mean, we're going to go right into first party. You see the title. We're going to loop it. And we're just going to talk about it. We're just going to let this go. Oh, I also have the music up. All right. So, again, guys. Again, you should watch these trailers. Full 4K, everything. I'm going to do it downstairs when I get back to my 4K TV and my kids are asleep. which I should go down very shortly. I'm sure they're hungry and I hear a lot of yelling. This is the first look at God of War Ragnarok. As you can see coming up, you see Atreus, or I think it's fair to say spoilers now. Loki, Laufey's son, one of the last of the giants, and he is well, I guess I don't know if he's Laufey's son, but he's Loki anyway. So we see him; he's older. You can see Freya attacking because he's still angry at what you did to her son Balder. Um, and we're gonna just kind of again speak on the blog. So we're gonna be more. This is from Grace Orderly, or lady, from Santa Monica, senior community manager, Santa Monica Studios. Couldn't be more excited here at Santa Monica to finally share our first real look at God of War Ragnarok. All right, and then, man, as you can see from the trailer, we're picking a few years after the events of 2018's God of War. The freezing winds of Fimbulwinter have come to Midgard, making survival for Kratos, Atreus, and Mimir in the Norse wilds even more challenging than before. While the last game built an enormous amount of trust and understanding between father and son, there's still greater complexity in their interactions, especially with the revelation of Atreus' giant heritage and the hidden prophecy only Kratos saw. Atreus is desperately curious, like most young people. He wants to understand who he is more than anything. In this case, he wants to understand who he could be. The mystery of Loki's role in the upcoming conflict is something Atreus cannot let go of. He wants to keep his family safe, but Atreus also doesn't want to stand by and do nothing while conflict consumes the nine realms. Which kind of speaks to me, personally, I always had a issue. I did not know, parents wise, who my father was and where I fit in the world. And luckily, I was able to find my family. Shout out to my sister, and kind of build those bonds with them. Find out more of my history, and kind of where my place is in the world. I'm gonna become a little more self confident, even though depression, and anxiety are still a thing. I feel like this game is kind of gonna hit in a different level than 2018's God of War. 2018's God of War, I just became a new father, and kind of understanding the landscape of what it means to be a father as Kratos is struggling with being a father to Atreus / Loki. It was a kind of perfect timing. Um, so as we mentioned, yeah, going back to this, Kratos, still bearing the knowledge of his past mistakes, wants to spare Atreus the bloody lessons he learned from his conflict with the gods. This is a new character, by the way, we're showing here. He keeps his son safe above all. The confrontation with Balder has vindicated the belief that only tragedy will come from further entanglements with the Aesir. Together, Kratos and Atreus have to make the choice about which path they will take. Whatever they choose, they define the fate of all the living in nine realms as Ragnarok approaches. It was interesting. Corey is not creative director on this. They have someone who's been at the studio and worked on other games, and but him and Corey did mention this is the end of this saga of God of War. So Ragnarok is truly the end of this. I don't know. I'm assuming there'll be like something. Imagine my reaction video was also me watching Kevin Diaz, Mario Rivera, Cameron Hawkins, and pardon me, Christian Buckley over at PlayStation Source as they watch that. And they had some interesting points. Like a lot of people think that Atreus will be taking over and moving on from past this game as a playable character. So you may know. Agony of Vengeance. We saw a brief look at two of the main antagonists you'll face in God of War Ragnarok, Freya and Thor. Because Kratos' actions at the end of the previous game and once ally turned enemy Freya has sworn vengeance for the death of her son Balder. We want to remind players that Freya isn't just a terrifyingly powerful user of Vanir magic, but also she's a former warrior in her own right. Enraged by Kratos' evasion to the justice at her hand, Freya will turn every weapon at her disposal toward her son's killer. Also suffering from the loss of his sons and half-brother, Thor's legendary bloodlust and wrath will be aimed at Kratos and Atreus. Referred to despairingly by Mimir as the biggest butching bastard in the Nine Realms, Thor earned his title as one of the most powerful Aesir gods by wiping out nearly all the giants at Odin's command. While we don't want to give too much away, we think a sneak peek at Mjolnir, wreathed in lightning, will give you a hint at just how formidable Thor will be as an adversary. And then, new ruining summons for Atreus. Hint of new attack abilities they've shown, legendary weapons that are coming back. One of the main goals is push player choice in combat, whether through hard hitting combos, mastery elements, or clever defensive tactics. Um, talking about that, onward to Asgard. Fans who played the last game know they were able to visit 6 of the 9 realms during the journey. You got a War Ragnarok. You'll be able to visit all 9. Ragnarok will take you to the previously unreachable Vanaheim, Swaftenheim, that's where the elves are, and Asgard, as well as the new areas from locations featured in the last game. Exploring the realms will take you everywhere from verdant, otherworldly jungles to intricate subterranean mining networks. The next installment in the series will bring you more diverse, beautiful, and mysterious variety of locations than any other God of War. So, see you next year. Um, so yeah, there's going to be building up some of that, and yeah, that is also Tyr, who is alive, by the way. FYI, Tyr is alive. Holy shit! And yeah, that's one of the last remaining giants as well, alongside Atreus or Loki. So let's talk about this. Let me mute this as well. This is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And normally, knowing me, because I'm a huge, absolute crazy fan of Spider-Man, you think this is where I would end, right? Incorrect, sir. Or ma'am. I'm ending on a super surprising reveal. And here you can kind of see right here, you see Spidey's, white. Like, this is very interesting. You can see right here, he's got the octopus arms, which, canon or not canon wise, he did interact with the Superior Spider-Man in the previous Spider-Man Spider-Verse storyline. One of the previous ones. So maybe he picked up some of that, or he also, he dealt with Ock as well. There are certain things that's changed between their costumes as well. I can't speak to them, but yeah, we're gonna start with Spider-Man 2, man, and also the fact that they're building an Insomniac. Now this right here, we are Venom. Yeah, there he is. Scary bastard. And I also got the shirt on. Peel that off real quick. um, so yeah, we're gonna read right here. This is all coming from the blog post yet again from Ryan Schneider, head of franchise strategy and studio relations at Insomniac Games. So let's start with the most one you probably guess: Spider-Man 2. We're so thrilled to continue the journey of both Peter and Miles with the most epic single-player adventure yet, coming exclusively to PlayStation 5 in 2023. While pushing the capabilities of the console, it will be very exciting. We're equally pumped to craft all new stories for Peter and Miles in the sequel. Just as our previous Spider-Man games, we're not only want to tell a great superhero story, but also deliver a compelling human story, one full of heart and humor that delves deep into people behind the mask. Spider-Man is returning to produce. Many people produced Spider-Man 1, coming back for 2, including Brian Intihar, creative director, and Ryan Smith, game director. Some of this is just a glimpse of what the story in terms of new abilities our heroes will acquire, suits they will wear, more on that some other time, and the villains that we'll try to hunt down. And speaking of villains, did you catch the final line in the end of the trailer? We're so happy to announce that Tony Tan of Candyman fame, perfect time by the way, we're voicing the symbiote field Venom. We're delighted to welcome back Yuri Lowenthal and Jeter, who will reprise the roles of Peter and Miles respectfully. We've been fortunate to work with so many incredible actors, and Tony has been such a wonderful addition to the cast. Now, that is Marvel Spider-Man 2. Let's end with the most shocking thing. Still can't believe this is weird. Shout out to Sammy, my nephew, who sent me a Twitter message as soon as this popped. Marvel's Wolverine. Holy shit. Made by Insomniac Games, by the way. Insomniac Games is creating a Insomniac Marvel universe. And we have Wolverine now. This already shows just a hugely bloody affair. And this, as soon as I saw this, come on, guys. The Princess Bar? That's Metaprior. Come on, guys. So, fast forward a couple years, and we're suddenly standing in front of Sony actor and Marvel formally pitching PlayStation 5 Anime is called Mutant. Um, this is literally all the trailer is, by the way. Marvel's Wolverine is a standalone game directed by Brian Horton, creative director, and Cameron Christian, game director, who recently led the creative efforts in Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. A game we're extremely proud of Insomnia. In the vein of our Spider-Man games, our goal here is not to only respect the DNA of what makes the character so popular, but also look at the opportunities to make it feel fresh and truly reflective of Insomniac's spirit. Even though Marvel's Wolverine is very early in development, from what I've seen, its emotional narrative and cutting edge gameplay. See what I did there? The team is already creating something truly special. Being able to build. Hold on, I just want to open this up because this is really cool. So yeah, this is literally it. It's very early in development. It's gonna end right here. Let's put it right here. Let me close this. Yeah. So there we go, guys. Marvel Marvel Games Wolverine, created by Insomniac. Pardon me, Studios. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on, guys. I'm not even the biggest Wolverine fan, and this is awesome. Um. So yeah, that is kind of what we are dealing with the Marvel Showcase. I would overall give it a B minus C plus. And it's not because of this stuff, obviously, not because of the Marvel or first party stuff. That is super exciting, but everything in the middle kind of just drug. And unfortunately, the combo of Forspoken, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Marvel's Wolverine, and God of War Ragnarok wasn't enough to get that grade up a little bit. There was too much time spent on Deathloop yet again, Guardians, which comes out next month. The Blood Hunt game, which came out apparently according to Mara Rivera when we were watching the stream a few days ago. So it's just shocking, like where we're at, and the fact that they are just Sony was just in a weird place. And now, mind you, it's not. I guess it's like equivalent to their E3, and that's not even that great. You know what I mean? Like if this was that, it's not, a good thing. I don't think it's something you should be proud of. Oh, pardon me. I'm just gonna start uploading that reactions video. So, I mean, it's frustrating that nature. Um, I wish they could have done better. As a banger showcase. I mean, the last 10 minutes are absolutely phenomenal, and I'm not even trying to shit on PlayStation in general. It was a very weak showing. I think I overhyped myself. I mean, Knights of the Republic remake, that's awesome. If Alan Wake remastered didn't leak somehow, that'd be a cool reveal. But that middle was just, I don't want to say horrible. Those games look interesting. It's just they are either coming out in 6 days, or coming out next month, and it's just doesn't have the oomph that I wanted from this. And that may be me personally, but on the plus side, again, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Miles, Venom. We are Venom, the good Venom. Hopefully, Harry Osborn. Who knows? But I'm gonna end that here. So, if you like my content, give me a like, share, subscribe. Again, I'm only like 37 people away from subbing, and I get that awesome custom URL. It'd be easier for me to say, hey, visit me at youtube.com/whatever. I make that custom URL. So you want to hook a brother up? Why don't you subscribe? Also, we have, all this would be audio form, anchor.fm/nerdtoday. There's like slashes. It's in the link below. And watch out for that reaction video coming soon. So, for me, Carlos, your nerd today. I love you guys. Bye.